Hey everyone, welcome back to Unbiased Magic Reviews. I'm really excited today to be doing a requested magic review. I'm going to be taking a look at What's Cooking by Gary Sumpter. And I got an Instagram message from Magician Tarun a couple weeks ago asking me to review this. And so I'm really excited to bring this to you guys for this review. Let's take a quick look at the trailer.
Okay, you haven't just entered a cooking TV show or a commercial. You haven't entered the Twilight Zone. You've entered into something very special indeed. From the creative mind of Gary Sumpter comes a very clever, workable and relatable book test that will amaze any audience, no matter what the age group. But before we dive any deeper, let's quickly talk about book tests in general. So in Gary Sumpter's own words, I love book tests, however the majority of them, in his opinion, have two major issues. They're mostly text, dull, flat, black and white pages. The books used are generic, have no connection to the audience or spectator. And I totally agree. So what's the solution? Let's face it, food invokes an instant feeling and reaction or memory for everyone. It can take your memories around the world, or even a memory of a good family meal at home, or a crappy meal at school. With What's Cooking, there is a connection. And as mentalists or magicians, it's what we strive to create. Gary Sumpter created this book from the ground up and is a multi-phase book test which is also modular in design, so you can pick and choose the elements that you wish to use. What's Cooking will allow you to read minds, pick up on words, colours and numbers, as well as drawing duplication finale that will leave your audience hungry for more. It's perfect for close-up, cabaret, stage, or just to have in your kitchen at home for when the moment arises. What's Cooking is a book test that is totally relatable and creates huge audience reactions that will complement any worker or non-working magician's repertoire. My name's Gavin Parsons. I'm off to cook my dinner and use it in my show later. Oh, if you want your copy, go to acemagicstudios.com.
Okay, so this is a book test, and what it is basically is it's a cookbook that has been turned into a book test. So the price of this is $77, and right now I think it's out of stock. So if you're interested in this, you probably should email Gary Sumpter at Ace Magic so you can be put on his waiting list for this, unless you could pick this up from somebody else secondhand. Definitely my favorite book test that I've purchased over the last year. And Gary Sumpter himself had mentioned that the reason why he even came up with this book test was because he found that most book tests, like for instance this one, they're all just text and kind of boring. He wanted something that had more colors to it and something that elicited emotion like food. So that's what this book is. And as always, I'm going to go over the ad copy. Let's just first go over what you get. So when you buy this, you're going to get the book. And like I said, this is the smaller size. There's also a larger size you can get too, like an A5 size. You're also going to get written instructions, which is kind of nice. I like that because it's harder to lose this compared to like a DVD. You're also going to get some other little cue cards. If you want, you can use these for the crib. Although I will tell you that the crib is actually on the back of the book, so you don't even need that. I've never used those at all, although they do come with it. So other questions you will have is how difficult is it to perform this book test? I'm going to tell you guys, there's no memory work involved. Because the crib is on the back, so while you're performing it in real time, you don't have to do any peaks at all, like other types of book tests require that you have to peak something, and this one there's no peaks at all. In fact, it almost seems like the only thing you really need to know is the page number, but what's really interesting is that Michael Murray gives some tips in the instructions where you don't even need to know the page number to be able to figure it out, which is really great. It really is. How examinable is the book? I think it's completely examinable because it is a real cookbook, and because it has, for instance, like there's a real word from the editor in the front. There's a real table of contents. There's a real area that's called useful information, where it has all kinds of information here about things like tips for your foods, for your refrigerator, all this other stuff that he put in here, which is all legit and real. The table of contents is all real too. So this is really great. This book test is 208 pages. 208 pages is what it is. And you can see that this was very, very carefully thought out. So let's go over the things that come with this book test, just so you have some idea, because I wish I had known that myself, although it definitely was worth the investment. This has a couple of really important things that are part of it that you probably want to know. Like, for instance, the front cover has a bunch of things that you can reveal. And the way that Gary Sumpter tells you this is to start out as like a psychological test. You ask the person to think of a couple of things, and you just have the book laying there, and then you reveal that somehow they were influenced because they're on the front cover. So that's kind of nice. It's like kind of like psychological subtleties that are included, and he calls that a starter or a warm-up. And then the main course is on any of these recipes, on any recipe page, you can reveal multiple colors, you can reveal a word, you can reveal a number. So you have plenty of information you can reveal on any of these. And then as a kicker, he also adds, there's also another section which he calls the dessert, which basically what it is it's a drawing duplication that's built into the book, which is wonderful. And which makes sense because, I mean, when you look at these pages, look at how colorful they are and everything. So there is a section with a drawing duplication. And what I really liked about that was that he goes over a way of doing the drawing duplication where you make a drawing that looks very similar to the actual real one, but it's different. And that's kind of like a one-off. And as you know, in mentalism, sometimes a one-off is stronger than actually a direct hit. So it's really, really nice, I thought, in that way. Now, the instructions are really written in a very easy to understand way. I will tell you guys that there is some extras in the back of the instructions. There's a whole section here, which is a routine that Peter Turner gives you. Some people might like that. I didn't really like it myself, but what I really found useful was the information that Michael Murray gives. Michael Murray gives you a bunch of tips back here, which are just incredible. He gives you this idea of how you could do the routine for multiple people, and then he also gives you an idea about how you can turn this into a prediction effect, which is really nice and a different way of looking at it. He teaches you how you can use the mother of all book tests method with this in the same way, which is kind of nice. And then there's another little routine he goes in here. It's called second helping, which I really like a lot because you have the spectator go to any recipe. They're thinking of a word from there, and then they think of another totally random word that they just came up with themselves, and then you're going to reveal both pieces of information. I mean, that's really strong, and it's a really nice little routine he put in there, and I've used that one, so I really like it a lot. Like, for me, that's my favorite thing that he added to this. The other thing I will tell you guys that he added, which is really, really strong, is the fact that you don't have to ask the spectator what page they're on, because otherwise, this book test, like other types of book tests, you have to ask the person what page they're on, although he gives you a method so you don't have to even ask them, which it's just so strong. Think about it, a book test where you don't see anything. You don't even need them to tell you what page they're on. I mean, think about it. That is incredible. I've never seen a book test like that before, that strong. So that's what I would tell you about this. And like I told you guys, the difficulty, it's really, really easy to perform because the crib is on the back cover. So it's totally simple in that way. The book is completely examinable. And like me, because it's a cookbook, I just leave it at home in my kitchen. And I think that's probably the best place that you guys should leave it if you do pick this up, because it's in the perfect place. It's where it should be. And it doesn't look strange if you have somebody over at your place and you just pull it out and decide you're going to just do something for them with it, just kind of like spur of the moment. So you're getting a lot for what you pay for it. It's definitely worth it. And like I told you guys, this is my favorite book test that I picked up this year. I think that that's pretty much all I have to tell you guys about it. If you just look at some of the pictures, you'll see for yourself just really how nice this looks. I mean, this is definitely worth picking up for a book test. It just doesn't get better than this. Okay guys, so here are my final thoughts. I think that if you don't own this book test, you should really try to get it any way you can. I think Gary Sumpter really hit this one out of the park, especially because this is the type of book test that requires no fishing at all. In fact, you don't need to know any of the information. You don't even need to get close to the book. You could be 6 feet away and you'll be able to do the book test without any fishing, without having to know what page number they're on. Just think about how incredible that is. And it's very easy to use. And you're revealing colors, number, words. I mean, it is just really the whole real deal overall. So the only thing I would say is that this is best in your kitchen. I would think that it would be really awesome if Gary Sumpter were to take this idea that he has of this book test and make other book tests, maybe other topics, not just a cookbook, but some other type of book, which is also like this, very colorful, and just use the same exact model, but make another book test. I'm sure it would sell out immediately, just like how this one has. So I don't really have anything negative I can say about this. I think that all the extras that are put in, the extras at the back of the instructions of Peter Turner and Michael Murray are just like icing on the cake. And I would highly recommend that you guys pick this up when you can. So thanks again for tuning into my magic reviews, and please feel free to comment. If there's anything you want me to review, please just leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next review.